Happy 4th of July, everyone. I'm okay, but I'm doing a dumping and slightly depressive audio. I just learned maybe 2 hours ago that a former neighbor who was a friend of mine for many years passed away. I knew she was sick. I knew it was coming. She sent me a video. I missed her birthday party last year because I was in Tennessee with the virus. Long story. Anyway, I had half a bottle of wine left, 12 ounces. I'm not an alcoholic and I rarely drink, but I had that wine around and I decided to finish it. So I'm kind of sensitive to alcohol, so I'm a little buzzed right now. And I feel depressed and upset. And I called Perry and I talked to him about her. And I told him some things that I hadn't told him previously. So anyway, I want this to be a bit about Anita and a bit about myself. So Anita was a neighbor of mine. She wasn't directly across the street, but like maybe across the street and 2 or 3 houses down. And I met her after I split with my ex-husband and my kids were still young and both of them were living here and they were young and I was a mess. I would say it was maybe around the year 2000, thereabouts. Oh my God. So anyway, Anita was originally from Peekskill. And she grew up in Bowman Towers, which were projects. And then she ended up moving up to Beacon. A lot of people from Peekskill ended up moving to Beacon. Like they did well. They got out of Peekskill and they moved to Beacon. She had a lot of street smarts. And she taught me a lot of things. I had been married and I was raised in a strict Ukrainian Catholic family, and even though in some ways I was worldly and sophisticated, in other ways, I can't even talk right. In other ways, I was naive about people, relationships, men and women, and Anita taught me a lot. She really, really, we used to confide in each other, and a lot of it was about men and sex. You know how they had that TV show, Sex in the City? Well, they should have a TV show called No Sex and the Suburbs. My marriage ended abruptly around 1997. Yeah, January 3rd, 1997. And I was in my late 30s. And I was a very healthy girl with 2 sons. And I guess you could say back then I was quite attractive, naturally blonde hair. I'm not saying this in a narcissistic way, but I was very naive. And I ended up having a relationship with a younger man for 3 years, about 6 months after I split with my ex-husband. And so, we were like really good friends. We were each other's best friends. It wasn't like a booty call type relationship. And eventually the age difference, he was 12 years younger than me. The age difference, my kids, all of that came into play and we parted ways. And he ended up marrying a woman 17 years younger than me, so 5 years younger than him. Many years ago, they got married, had kids. I'm very, very happy for them, and I do believe she's a very nice woman. Very happy for them. I've never seen him since then, but, I've heard and I wish him well. But anyway, see, I'm making this about me too. So then I was single again, and I was, let's see, in 2000. Yeah, I was still at an age where well, I'm using a very polite way of saying I was a very healthy woman in her prime. But I was raised old fashioned and strict with character and morals, so I really had a dilemma because I wasn't the type, and I was a custodial parent of two boys. And, I was a proper person, but I couldn't just go out and pick up men. And so I tried dating, and it was difficult. So anyway, I used to tell Anita about my dates. If I met someone, I'd bring them across the street to have them meet her. This woman was better than a urologist. For a long time, every man I dated was impotent or had ED, whatever you want to call it. So I had like the worst run of bad luck. During my prime, I don't know what I was doing back then. I certainly wouldn't be doing that if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have. But anyway, that's another story. And I used to tell, she used to tell me about, she was married and divorced. The stories she told me, I should start like documenting them. This woman was like the party 24/7. Oh my God. She was better than a urologist when it came to talking about men and penises and sex. She was better than a therapist. She was better than a life coach. And she taught me street smarts. She taught me how to evaluate men. Her favorite word was perpetrate. Perpetrate and perpetrating. Don't you know they're perpetrating? Men be perpetrating all the time. Perpetrate, perpetrate, perpetrate. And also touched in the head. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then she taught me about other women being bitches and jealous and women running other women away. All these things she had like an innate sense of people, relationships, men and women. And she did teach me a lot. A lot of it was street smarts and survival skills. And I'm really grateful to her. And she used to a lot of times want to take credit 100% for my evolution of me starting out as this naive, just naive woman with two little kids to becoming strong and street smart and independent and putting people in their place. And I came like full circle. And she used to say, I take credit for all of that. I was the one that made you this way. Well, no, but she contributed a lot towards it. I would say at least 50%. I used to be very passive, and now I am the last thing from passive. But yeah, so then I remember I went on a lot of dates, but I didn't have a relationship. This is when like Match.com was new and popular, and I was like going out to dinner at least 3 times a week, and like each man was worse than the next. It was hell. And they were all impotent. They weren't even good for sex. All they were good for back in the day was dinner. Well, after a couple of years of that, I did meet someone. And it's funny, every man I had a serious relationship with, they were in the field of science. They were Aquarius. They had a cat, not a dog, and they were left-handed. It's like if you're an Aquarius, you're left-handed, and you have a cat, you will love me to death and end up in a relationship with me. It was like, I didn't choose it either. It just happened that way. So I ended up with a man who was 8 years older than me, PhD, single father, divorced, custodial parent. Yeah, Aquarius. He did stem cell research, and he had cats, 2 cats. And so we went out for 3 years, but he was kind of narcissistic. And the first year we were together, it was great because I felt loved and there was a lot of passion. The second year, it was, and I thought, well, growing pains, it's the second year. And the third year was hell. I had an experience with men withholding sex from me as punishment. It just seemed like just about every relationship I had, when they were mad at me or the relationship was going poorly, they would withhold sex. And I was always faithful to every relationship. So I was punished by being deprived. Which, looking back on, I was stupid. I should have went out and enjoyed myself. But anyway, so I was with the second man for 3 years, and I used to tell Anita about the problems, and she told me some things and gave me advice that helped me in my relationship, and a lot of it I cannot say on YouTube. They would take my channel down. Oh, God. Then we split up. Then I remember her and I talking about things, and I can't say what I would like to say here because the channel would come down. But yeah, I told her things, blah, 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 blah. One date after another. It got to the point. But anyway, we talked about things other than men and sex and penises. We talked about, other females. And she taught me how other females could be vicious and competitive. And, it sounds negative, but it is true. And, we talked about other things. We talked about a lot of things. We did things over the years. One of the things that I told Perry was when that movie came out that Mel Gibson produced, The Passion of Christ, and it was, I think, Good Friday. Her and I went to the movie theater in Fishkill, New York, and we were in the movie theater together during the matinee. And, I mean, it was an intense movie. We were crying. We were hugging each other. She turned to me and said, Jeannie, I love you. And I was like, I love you, Anita. Oh, I'm not going to sin again after seeing this movie. Blah, 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 blah. And we used to have talks about sex and men and penises and even masturbation. And it was really funny. She went through this point, like during menopause, women get really... they want it a lot and they go crazy. And she told me one time that she was so horny she could hump a doorknob. And she was like, but I don't have anyone around that I would want to. Like, she had men that she could, but like she just didn't want to with them. And she was crying on the phone. And I remember I cried on the phone because I was in a celibate period at that time. And I told her that I was so horny that I was nauseous. I was so stupid back then. I should have just found some guy and had some fun. I don't know. But anyway, I had my kids living with me, and they went to their father every other weekend, so it was hard to, schedule. I can't believe I'm saying this on YouTube, but I had 12 ounces of wine. But we were very honest and open with each other, and I mean, there's a whole plethora of stories that I could tell you. This woman was hysterical. She was the party. She was the party 24/7. Everybody in the neighborhood loved her. Well, what happened was, quite a few years ago, her brother, first she had an older sister, Betty Ann, that died really young. And then it was just her and her brother Robert. And her brother Robert had a condo in Beacon. And he died young and left the condo to her. At that point, she moved into the condo because she was renting the house practically across the street. So she moved into the condo, but it was small. It was a one-bedroom. So she stayed at the condo for a few years, got herself together financially, sold it, and bought a townhouse on the other side of Beacon, and she was real happy about it. And she used to blow through money like crazy. And for her birthday a few years ago, she went and got herself a BMW and said she was going to live large. And I remember myself and another person that knew her would say, like, she's spending money, you know, it's what's going to happen. She shouldn't do that. She's getting into debt. She's going to get in trouble. Well, she must have had a premonition, or she knew what she was doing, because you know what? For about 5 years, she lived large. She did what she wanted. She spent money, and now she's gone. So, was she going to take it with her? So, I'm boring next to her. What have I been doing the last couple of months? Buying Pioneer Woman cookware and dishes? I don't have the desire or inclination to go out and do anything wild at this point in my life. That's kind of pretty much in the past. But I am going to take a page. Is that how they say it? Take a page from her book and be more in the moment rather than like constantly putting off to the future, because none of us, and I mean none of us, knows how long we have. It just seems like in the last year, so many people I know have died or have left. It's like all these people that I used to know, they're all gone. They're gone. It's like scary. And I'm not even that old. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken, but oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, you know, I don't want to run out and do crazy things. You know, I mean, I have to accept that I'm an older woman, but I don't want to not live my life to the fullest. That's why I like trying to have a happy little life. Went on those cruises. You know, I try to treat myself well now, because for many years I did not have the luxury of treating myself well while being a single parent, raising two sons, with a budget, being responsible. And, you know, I guess it's narcissistic for me to say, back in the day, I could have latched on to some man and used him for money because I did have the looks, but I didn't have the personality to do that. I did believe in true love, and I wasn't going to use a man for money. I probably should have, and used them for sex too, but now that I'm older, you know, I'm looking back at hindsight and foresight and all that stuff. I'm being very honest here. Probably too honest. I'll probably get troll comments. But the rest of my life, I plan on living it on my own terms. I'm going to try not to hurt people around me or be mean, but I am living it for me on my own terms, because otherwise, I'm not having a full experience of living. Anyway, everyone, have a great 4th of July. Sorry for the emotional dumping. Love you. Bye.